Imagine this for a moment. You wake up one morning and it feels like the bottom has truly fallen out of your world. Your old beliefs about God, about love, about who you are crack open one by one until nothing is left but a cold, echoing emptiness. Maybe it's the loss of someone you trusted, a devastating failure, or just that slow, creeping sense that life is hollow and your prayers, if you even have any left, are bouncing off the ceiling. You try to reach for the things that once gave you comfort, but they no longer work. And then it hits you. You are alone. You are doubting everything. You feel like a fraud, a failure, a ghost wandering through your own life. Have you ever found yourself here, in that strange, silent land where faith collapses, where all the old answers ring false, and even hope feels like an empty word? What if I told you this collapse, this absolute doubt, this excruciating despair can be more than just the end of meaning? What if it's actually a beginning? Today, we'll walk together into the very heart of darkness, the place most people try to avoid at all costs. But with the philosopher Paul Tillich as our guide, we'll uncover a radical truth, that your deepest doubt and despair might be the doorway to your most powerful self. You'll discover why losing faith utterly, painfully, honestly can become the raw material for a life more honest, more courageous, and more free than you ever imagined. And you'll learn the core tool that Tillich calls the courage to accept acceptance. A way of living that doesn't just endure despair, but transforms it into fuel for a more authentic existence. So, if you are ready to face your shadows and ask the hardest questions, let's begin this journey, because what you'll find on the other side could change everything. Let's start with a question. Have you ever wondered why the darkest moments always seem to ambush us when we least expect it? Maybe you're cruising through life, getting by, maybe even thriving on the outside. Then suddenly, the job ends, the relationship crumbles, a tragedy hit, or maybe worst of all, everything is fine, but somehow it all feels pointless. Paul Tillich calls this existential despair. But what does that really mean? To put it simply, existential despair is not just sadness or disappointment. It's the deep down sense that everything, your efforts, your beliefs, your very being might be utterly meaningless. It's not just that you feel bad, it's that you fear there may be no reason at all to feel anything. But here's the twist. This isn't just a mood. It's a fundamental part of being human. Why? Because, as Tillich points out, at some point, every single one of us will face what he calls the anxiety of non-being, the terror that, deep down, our lives might be without purpose, that we might be fundamentally alone, and that our existence could vanish without a trace. And yet, this is not a defect. It's a signal, a wake-up call from your own soul. Let's make this real. Imagine you're standing in front of a shattered mirror. Every piece reflects a different version of you. Your hopes, your failures, your secrets, your shame. You can't turn away, because this is all you have left. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you are in despair, you are not broken. You are awake. Despair, as painful as it is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your consciousness. It's the proof that you care enough to be disturbed, to ask, what is truly real? And this is where true courage begins, not in denying despair, but in facing it head on. If you're struggling with despair, ask yourself, what is my pain trying to tell me about what matters most? Can you let yourself listen even for just a moment to the possibility that this agony is not an enemy, but a messenger? Here's another question for you. Have you ever felt guilty for doubting, like your questions and skepticism make you a failure or even a bad person? In so many cultures, doubt is treated like a disease. You're supposed to believe in your family, your country, your God, your therapist, your purpose. But what if doubt is not a curse, but a gift? Tillich flips the script here. He says, when your old beliefs collapse and you stand naked in absolute doubt, you are actually closer to the truth of existence than ever before. Think about it. When the floor drops out, when you have no more lies to tell yourself, what remains? Only the raw stuff of you, your vulnerability, your questions, your hunger for meaning. In the words of Tillich, the courage to be is rooted in the God who appears when God has disappeared in the anxiety of doubt. In other words, what you find in the void is not emptiness, but the freedom to ask what you truly want, what you deeply value, what is real for you. Let's put this into a story. Imagine you're climbing a mountain at night, and suddenly the lantern goes out. For a while, you panic, your heart pounds, you curse the darkness. But as your eyes adjust, you realize something miraculous. You can see the stars, the faint shapes of the path, the outline of new possibilities. Without the comfort of artificial light, you start to see more than before. So how could you use this insight in your own journey? Try seeing doubt not as your downfall, but as your first moment of creative freedom. Instead of frantically searching for the next belief to fill the hole, ask, what do I genuinely know deep down? What do I want to discover for myself? Let your doubt become your compass, not your prison. Next time you feel the gnawing pain of doubt, try this. Pause, breathe, and write down exactly what you are questioning, no matter how wrong or shameful it seems. What if these questions are the seeds of a new life? Let's face a harder truth. Have you ever felt so weighed down by guilt, by memories, by shame, that you can barely breathe? Maybe you replay old mistakes, secrets you wish you could erase, or wounds that still feel fresh years later. In the thick of despair, it's easy to believe you are unworthy of hope, or that you have to fix yourself before you deserve a new start. Here's where Tillich's most radical tool comes in. He calls it the courage to accept acceptance. What does that mean? It means that real transformation isn't about denying your flaws or endlessly trying to improve yourself. It's about daring to accept that you are accepted precisely as you are, with all your broken pieces, your history, your doubts, your mess. Acceptance here isn't just passive resignation. It's a fierce, active decision to claim your right to exist, to love yourself in the midst of imperfection. Tillich writes, "The courage to be is the courage to accept oneself as accepted in spite of being unacceptable." Think about that for a second. Can you really accept that you are accepted, even if you don't feel acceptable? That maybe, just maybe, what you need is not more self-punishment, but radical self-compassion. Imagine a battered, weathered book, pages torn, cover stained, corners dog-eared. But inside, the words are still precious. The story is still alive. Would you throw it away, or honor it for surviving, for carrying meaning through every storm? So why does this matter to your life right now? Because no amount of guilt or self-hatred will heal you. Only acceptance can. To begin again, You must first say yes to your whole self, past, present, and even the parts that still ache. Tonight, before you sleep, tell yourself, I am not perfect. I am not finished. But I am worthy of compassion, and I have the courage to accept acceptance. Say it until it feels a little less impossible. Let's pause and gather what we've seen so far. Despair wakes you up to your own longing for meaning. Doubt can be the engine of creative transformation. And radical acceptance is not the end of your journey, but the foundation for everything you build next. But what happens next? How do you actually live this way? Here's a question most people are afraid to ask. Is it possible that your deepest pain can become your greatest strength? If you look back at your life, you might notice something. The times you grew the most became wiser, kinder, more alive were often the times you suffered the most. Tillich argues that the courage to be is not about escaping despair, but about using it as a launchpad for a new life. He writes about the courage of despair, the unique power that comes when you stop running from your pain and start letting it remake you. Let's break this down with a real-world scenario. Imagine someone named Maya, who loses her job, her relationship, and even her sense of identity, all in 1 year. She spends months in darkness, lost, angry, afraid. But instead of numbing out or pretending to be okay, Maya starts to ask real questions. What do I want now that everything is gone? Who am I without my old roles? Slowly, she begins to rebuild not from her old plans, but from a deeper core. She discovers new talents, forms honest relationships, learns to set boundaries. Her despair didn't vanish. It became the soil for her new life. So what does this mean for you? It means that the pain you want to run from may actually be your most valuable guide. If you dare to feel it, to listen, and to let it transform you. Despair can become power. Not the power to control life, but the power to respond with authenticity and courage. If you're in the middle of despair, try this. Instead of asking, how do I make this stop? Ask, what is this teaching me? Who could I become if I let myself start over? Right here. Let's zoom out for a moment. We live in a world that worships certainty, quick fixes, and constant positivity. But beneath the surface, millions are quietly struggling with doubt, loss of faith, and the kind of despair that no pill or slogan can erase. What Tillich teaches us is that these struggles are not glitches. They are the core of what it means to be human. To live fully is not to eliminate anxiety and despair, but to find the courage to keep going, keep asking, keep loving, even when all the lights go out. Imagine what would change if, instead of shaming our doubts and hiding our pain, we treated them as sacred teachers. What if, instead of running from our darkness, we gathered there together, holding space for our wounds and our hopes alike? In the end, the courage to be is not a destination. It is a practice, a daily moment-by-moment choice to say yes to the whole of life, even and especially when hope seems lost. Ask yourself, how would your life look if you stopped trying to be okay and started trying to be real? Who could you become if you let your despair become your doorway? Let's draw it all together. First, despair isn't proof you're broken. It's a sign you are waking up to your deepest questions. Second, doubt is not your enemy. It can be your creative force, opening the path to new possibilities. Third, acceptance is not passive. It's the courageous act of embracing yourself as worthy, flaws and all. Fourth, despair can be a launchpad for transformation if you let it teach you instead of running from it. So, what can you take away right now? You have the right and the power to accept yourself, to honor your questions, and to let your pain become the fuel for your rebirth. Here's your invitation. Tonight, take 5 quiet minutes to reflect. No distractions, no judgments. Ask yourself, what part of me have I been hiding, rejecting, or trying to fix out of fear? And then, even if it's just a whisper, say, I accept myself as I am. Even in my doubts, I choose the courage to be. Let this be your new beginning, not because you are perfect, but because you are beautifully, defiantly human. If this journey has spoken to you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What is one insight or question you're taking with you? How will you start practicing the courage to accept acceptance in your own life? Don't forget to subscribe to MindMirror for more guides to self-understanding, philosophical awakening, and real tools for living deeper. And if you're ready for the next step, join us for our upcoming video, where we'll explore how to find meaning even in life's darkest nights. Remember, you are not alone in your doubt, your despair, or your longing for meaning. The journey begins with the courage to be. The ideas explored in this video are for philosophical and psychological exploration and are not intended as professional advice. Viewers are encouraged to engage in their own critical thinking and further research, and to consult with qualified professionals for personal concerns.